Hello everyone, this is Dr. E, and for today I'm going to share with you how I teach my students linear algebra and how I encourage my students to appreciate the beauty of finding the determinant of matrices in solving systems of linear equation. Matrices can be easy and sometimes it can be extremely frustrating for most students, and the way I teach my students to learn algebra or to learn the matrix operation is to show them the reason why we're learning these procedures. And one of the things that I always tell them is this is an alternative way, or using linear algebra, we can have an alternative way on how to solve linear system. And this is what I'm going to share with you in our discussion for today. So if you're a student of linear algebra, we have videos that you can watch in the description box down below. So you can watch all the matrix operations and practice on how to answer problems involving linear algebra, and the topics and the videos or lessons that I'm going to share with you are all in this playlist down below. And to the teachers or some teachers who are watching this video, you can use this content and share this content to your students, and hopefully you'll have something to use in your classroom when you start teaching linear algebra. And one of the first few skill that I teach my students in linear algebra is finding determinants, and finding determinants of a 2x2 matrix and a 3x3 matrix. And again, the reason why I always show them how to find the matrix or the determinants of a 2x2 and a 3x3 is because I'm going to connect this in solving problems of linear system with three variables, so x, y, and z. And we know that in algebra, the more unknowns that we need to solve, the more complicated our math processes will be. And in this way, I can share with them that I am going to give them an alternative on how to solve linear system involving matrices, where the processes and steps are more procedural as opposed to conceptual. So after teaching them the beauty of finding the determinant of a 2x2 and a 3x3 matrix, I will introduce to them Cramer's rule. And Cramer's rule is, of course, an alternative way on how to solve linear system using the determinant of our matrices with, let's say, a linear system with just x and y, and a linear system with x, y, and z. And in this way, students will be able to understand why we're learning such steps. It's not just a busy work, but there is a reason why we're learning and honing our skill in precision and patience when it comes to doing multiple steps involving basic mathematical operation. And this is why we're working on problems involving linear system like this. And this is basically the examples that I always share with them, that solving linear system with two unknowns versus solving linear systems with three variables. And we know that this is most likely going to be a little bit more challenging to work on as opposed to this particular problem, because we know that in mathematics that the more variables that we need to find, the more steps and more patience it is required of us to be able to solve this problem. And to give an example on how my students will be able to see the beauty of the Cramer rule and linear algebra is sharing them this example, which is basically a system of linear equation with three missing variables. So x, y, and z. He's using substitution method and solving for x, y, and z. And if you will notice that there's so many steps and processes involved, and you need to be precise in every step that you are doing, because one small error in this process, you're probably not going to be able to find the correct value of your x, y, and z, which is the coordinate of your linear system in three-dimensional space for this particular problem. So if you'll notice, there's fractions that we are seeing already, and we know that when we start to work with problems involving fractions, students tend to have their math anxiety in working with this problem. So let's give them an alternative way on how to solve this linear system as opposed to using the substitution method, which will work, but it would take them, let's say, probably 13 minutes or maybe 15 minutes or maybe even more to find the value or the solution of this linear system, as opposed to just working on problems involving Kramer's rule or linear system like this one. So we know that in this particular problem, we need to find the value of the solution of this linear system. So we need to find the coordinate of our point of intersection, x, y. But using the determinant method or the Kramer's rule, all we need to do is to find the determinant of the coefficient matrix, the determinant of column x, and the determinant of column y. And once we have these constants, which I'm not going to show because we have videos for that, in the description box down below, we'll be able to find the value of x by finding the ratio of dx all over d and dy all over d. So we need basically three square matrices and find its determinant to find the value of x and y, and now we have the solution of our linear system, which goes the same process in a 3x3 matrix like this, or linear system with three unknowns. So we need to have the coefficient matrix, we need to have the matrix of column x, the matrix for column y, and the determinant for column z. So once we have all these determinants for our four matrices or for 3x3 matrices, we'll be able to find the value of x, which is basically dx all over d, to find y, dy all over d, and to find the z value or the coordinate of z in our linear system, which is dz all over d, and we'll be able to produce our x, y, and z, which is solving linear system using three unknowns. And again, this is just an alternative way on how to find the missing variables or the systems of linear equation using linear algebra. And once students are understanding the reason why they're looking for the determinant of a 2x2 and a 3x3 matrices, it will become a little bit more manageable and easier for them to work with problems similar to what we just showed you a while ago. So, two things: determinants of a 2x2 or a 3x3 matrix, and using the Kramer's rule in solving linear system using its determinants or the matrices. So for students and teachers who are watching this video, the videos that I have for this particular lessons, it's in the description box down below. So practice would help so that you'll be able to be more comfortable in working with linear algebra. And for teachers who have their own strategies on how to solve problems using linear algebra, or how you teach linear algebra to your students, comment down below how you share this to your students so we can talk about it next time in our videos. So this is how I showed my students the importance of learning linear algebra and why or how we use the determinants in some mathematical processes like systems of linear equation, so that they will have an alternative way on how to solve some problems in mathematics like what I just shared to you today. And again, this is Dr. E, and see you again next time. Bye!